Okay, I'd like to call to order the East Lansing City Council discussion-only meeting of 7 p.m., October 14th, 2025. Could we have the roll call, please?
Councilmember Altman.
Here.
Councilmember Meadows. Councilmember Watson. Mayor Pro Tem Singh.
Here.
Mayor Brookover.
Here. I'd move to excuse our fellow council members. They have other job-related things tonight.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, motion passes unanimously. Could we have a motion to approve the agenda, please?
So moved.
Moved by Altman, seconded by Brookover. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes unanimously. Now comes the time for communications from the audience. We have, if there's a written communication, it's in our packet, which is posted online. Rebecca Kaysen.
Good evening, members of council. My name is Rebecca Kaysen, and I am speaking tonight as a private citizen as well as the executive director of the Women's Center of Greater Lansing. I'm here because I love this community, but I also believe in justice, transparency, and safety for East Lansing. Many of us remain deeply disturbed by Chief Jen Brown's comments that a disproportionate number of minorities are coming in committing crimes in East Lansing. Those words are racist and unacceptable. Just as concerning is what has followed. There's a growing appearance that this is not an isolated incident, that this is part of a deeper problem that the city is trying to minimize or hide. Let's talk about transparency. The police department did not include the Dave's Hot Chicken video in the press release. The video would have shown the truth about what actually happened. The city, to date, has failed to release Mr. Smith's blood alcohol levels, which would clarify another disputed element of this case. Mr. Smith says he was sober, yet in a press release, Chief Brown says he was intoxicated. When the public is denied access to evidence and information is withheld, when patterns of bias go unexamined, it looks less like oversight and more like a cover-up. This is what many of us now see. There is an attempt to protect the department's image instead of confronting the harm that has been done. Chief Brown's comments alone were damaging. Combined with a lack of transparency and a refusal to release key information, the apparent unwillingness to hold anyone accountable, public trust has been destroyed. The damage is done. Every arrest of a person of color will now be questioned. Every interaction with officers and residents will be seen through the lens of bias. Chief Brown can attend more DEI training. She can give an actual, genuine apology. None of that will rebuild the trust for the community that feels it's been lied to. Trust requires truth. Trust requires accountability. Trust requires change. This is not just about one comment or one person. It's about whether anyone in this city, especially the people that Chief Brown has labeled as minorities, can trust that the East Lansing Police Department will treat them with fairness and dignity. The chief sets the tone for the entire department. Her words tell every officer what is tolerated and what is excused. Right now, that message is dangerous. We are asking council and the city manager to do what is right, not what is easy. Demand Chief Jen Brown's resignation. Request a full independent investigation by the Michigan Department of Civil Rights and the Michigan Attorney General's office into racism, bias, and transparency failures within the East Lansing Police Department. We cannot build public safety on secrecy and excuses. We build it with honesty, accountability, and leadership that earns the trust of every resident. East Lansing deserves better. Our children deserve better. Our community deserves better. Thank you.
Thank you. Carrie Freeman.
Thank you, Council. As you know, my name is Carrie Freeman. I'm working with the Ball Lines on the Howard Project, and I'm here today to remind you that tomorrow we have a town hall meeting, Wednesday, October 15th, tomorrow from 6 to 8 p.m., and it's actually going to be at the student bookstore. I know last time I had said it was going to be at Foster Coffee, but it's going to be at the student bookstore. There's going to be pizza and light refreshments. We're really hoping to have a good turnout. Tomorrow, our hope is that the council can make it. Some of the city employees, anybody who's interested, our community, so we can hear each other's thoughts, ideas. We really want the input of the community on the future of the 400 block of East Grand River. SBS, as you know, is going to be going out of business, and we need to make decisions soon, and we want to do what's going to serve this community best, and we need your help to do that. So we're really hopeful that you can come and participate and hear what we have to say and let us hear what you're thinking. So thanks very much.
Thank you. Josh Hewitt.
Hello, everybody. The police officer who pepper sprayed Lonnie Smith needs to be held accountable for his actions. As Police Chief, Jen Brown should also be held accountable for her racist comments and potential cover-up of police brutality by choosing to write and publish a press release with harmful and inaccurate information. Also, during numerous council meetings, Councilmember Watson spoke about issues facing marginalized groups and about the consequences these groups face if some of these issues are not addressed. And at numerous times, Brookover, Singh, Meadows, and Altman, all of you stayed silent. I hope that introspection leads you to realize that by not speaking up in support of Watson's concerns, that you may all be complicit in what happened to Lonnie Smith. Lastly, I have two more things to say. I also hope that this November, when residents vote for candidates, I hope that they don't only vote based on what they want for themselves, but also based on issues that affect people that are usually overlooked. I see a lot of police officers here today, and back in 2019, I attended the Citizens Police Academy, and a lot about what I heard about from you guys was de-escalation, de-escalation, de-escalation. That's not what took place that night. You guys seem to be spreading a lot of propaganda, and it's not cool. It's just not cool. It affects people's lives, and you guys need to realize and just put yourselves in other people's shoes and realize what you're doing and the harm that you're doing, and just stop spreading lies, please.
Thank you. Justin Horst.
Hello, my name is Justin Horst. I've proudly served with the East Lansing Police Department for 12 years. I'm here tonight as a member of this community that has participated in countless events for those 12 years. I'm here tonight to voice my support for the East Lansing Police Department and Chief Jen Brown. Chief Brown is fair and deeply committed to both this community and to the East Lansing Police Department. Chief Brown has stood strong when this community has remained silent. Chief Brown has stood strong when members of this council and oversight have turned their back on her. None of us are perfect. Growth requires the willingness to fail and to learn from those failures, to improve and to keep moving forward. Chief Brown leads with that mindset. I'm also here because we're tired. Tired of baseless allegations and constant conflict in this city. The city of East Lansing, its residents, its schools, and the businesses, they deserve better from this leadership and this community. The men and women that serve at ELPD do it with honor, integrity, and at great sacrifice. The men and women of ELPD have stood strong to protect this community through historic violence, division, and diminished staffing levels. The lack of staffing has led to tens of thousands of hours of overtime being forced on ELPD and its officers. All while they've been asked to stand strong, continue to train, do more, and provide the exact same level of service that we've always done. These men and women are literally putting their lives between the good in this community and those that break the laws and seek to do harm in this community. This council, members of this council, members of the Oversight Committee are quick to judge and call for action, but fail to recognize that there's a person behind those accusations and behind that badge. The person who has chosen to step into the divide and preserve life and create a safer community. ELPD officers have stepped in and stood strong in that divide. The divide created by some of the members of this council and the divide created by members of this Oversight Committee. The tone, the decisions, and the public statements that are made are damaging to the city, to the people that live here, and to ELPD. The divide that has replaced healthy discussion with personal attacks is stalling progress and damaging lives. No one benefits from that. Leadership should bring people together, not tear down what others have worked hard to build. ELPD has risen to every challenge, improving policies, training, technology, transparency. Are we perfect? No, no one is. Officers spend thousands of hours each year improving communication and learning better ways to serve this community. All of this was done while being publicly disparaged and attacked. Where's the Oversight Committee when invited to those training courses? Where's the Oversight Committee when it comes to understanding the science of force, body cameras, human physiological responses to threats? Oversight entities around the country are required to train, adapt, and improve. Few have embraced the duty to serve objectively and to listen, to grow. If officers are expected to evolve, our city leaders must be doing the same. East Lansing deserves courage, objectivity, and empathy. Leadership should come together to accept the challenge to find solutions by learning and evolving. East Lansing deserves leadership that builds bridges, not divides. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, all right. Everybody's going to get a chance to talk, so let's let everybody talk. Harold Pope, please.
Good evening. My name is Harold Pope with the NAACP. I'm here again concerned that the city is still pressing charges against the 2 young men who were wrongly pepper sprayed by the ELPD. The city seems focused on holding them accountable for a crime that never occurred. I'll say it again, a crime that never occurred. Yet on the other hand, this same city leadership is not holding the police chief accountable for her blunders and racist comments. I believe it was said by the city manager that this would be a teachable moment. Let's have more grace for these young men, allowing that same teachable moment for them. Close your eyes for a second. Imagine that those were your children. Those are your relatives. And to see that police officer walk up without understanding anything about what was going on, and within 6 inches, spraying a young man in his face, spraying both young men in their face, out of control, even spraying another officer. So as a community leader, as a member of a community, I don't see how you can sit here quietly and not ask for the resignation, not demand the resignation. It just makes no sense. Again, close your eyes and imagine those 2 young men being your children. Wouldn't you want justice for them? And I hear what was said about the police department and the hard work they put in. I respect that. I absolutely respect it. But as a community member, it's more than just one-sided. When the police say everybody goes home safely, everybody goes home safely, that's what it should be. Everybody, not just the police, but everybody goes home safely. No one should be attacked. No one. Handle it accordingly. Hold people accountable when they make mistakes. Whatever the response is to that mistake, it should be delivered. And in the case of the police chief, I think that accountability is a resignation. Thank you.
Thank you. Kelly Woods.
Good evening. My name is Kelly Woods, and I am the mother of Mason Woods. I am here today to speak for my son. Though you may not know me or have seen my face before, I have been here fighting for my son. I'm not comfortable with public speaking, and mainly why I have not spoken before today. I want to begin tonight by expressing my deep concern and distress regarding the way my son was treated by East Lansing police officers during a recent incident. From what I have seen through recorded footage, my son was targeted, unfairly arrested, and publicly labeled a criminal before having his day in court. Officers allege that he was from Lansing, despite the fact that we live right here in Lansing. To make matters worse, his name was released to the press prematurely, well before any judicial determination was made. I am particularly alarmed by what appears to be racial bias and excessive use of force during this encounter. As a parent and a resident of this community, I expect our law enforcement officers to uphold fairness, professionalism, and respect for all individuals, values that seem to have been disregarded in this case. I am imploring that these charges against my son are dismissed, as that is the just thing to do. Thank you.
Thank you. James McCurtis.
Good evening, everyone. My name is James McCurtis. I have family members who are in law enforcement, who are police officers, and I empathize with the job that they have to do. It's not an easy job, it's a tough job. I don't understand it because I'm not a police officer, so I'm not going to say I understand their tough job, but I have family members and very close friends of mine who are police officers, and their job is not easy. So I respect what they do in our community. But the treatment of these two black men during Welcome Week is nefarious and unacceptable. And to add fuel to the fire, when Chief Brown was asked about it, she says, during Welcome Weekend, we had a disproportionate number of minorities coming to the community and commit crimes. So I see quick tangent college kids on Fraternity Row all the time, underage, with cups, drinking, publicly drunk, committing crimes, right? The words that she said, all it did was add fuel to the fire. And this comes from the leader, this message comes from a leader. I mean, think about the type of message that sends to the community, to all of East Lansing community, and all of in Lansing as well, in the news that was broadcast. Minorities come into this city and they commit crime. The numbers from your own data, those numbers are appalling as well, when the number of black people who are arrested is disproportionately higher than any other group of people. That too is unacceptable. I'm going to use a sports analogy. Players, they typically take on the personality of the head coach. So in this case, Chief Brown is the head coach. She's the leader. We don't want officers taking on her perception of black people or minorities coming into East Lansing to commit a crime. She has lost the trust of the community with that type of perspective and saying those racist words. She is an ineffective leader who needs to resign because, again, she lost the trust in our community. And I ask you to take on the hard job of demanding her resignation. Thank you.
Thank you. Kath Edsel.
Good evening, Kath Edsel, member of the LAPAC, but I'm speaking on my own behalf. During Welcome Weekend, August 23rd and 24th, many young adults aggregated downtown to enjoy all that East Lansing has to offer. Unfortunately, a few incidences led to police responding in ways that community members shared concerns that were excessive. On September 26th, allegedly unbeknownst to the city manager, Police Chief Brown authored a press release defending the actions of the officers. I believe there are enough serious problems with that press release which should lead to her termination even before her racist comment, not my words but the city manager's, equating blackness to criminality. This press release was the second in recent history that named the arrestees. Given that the last time the city released the name of an arrestee, they faced a six-figure lawsuit that was only dismissed due to a technicality, you should think the city manager would have provided guidance before permitting this to happen a second time. Here again, two individuals were named, accused of criminality to publicly humiliate them, which did happen on social media, without providing an accurate account of what happened. It appears to me this was done to deflect attention from the officer who pepper sprayed both young men in the face at a distance of 6 to 9 inches, contrary to manufacturer's recommendations of no closer than 3 feet, in what appears on surveillance video to be a deliberate attempt to seriously harm and possibly blind both men. Chief Brown's defending the indefensible has already happened multiple times in her short tenure with the police department. This time it appears she had the recently officially released Dave's Chicken surveillance video footage in her possession at the time of the press release. This footage unquestionably shows that not a single punch was thrown and that the two individuals who were arrested were not fighting, and in fact, one was hugging the other to de-escalate a situation that the police jumped in and escalated. She made her press release publicly denigrating two men while apparently lying about what happened and only releasing the body-worn camera footage that, due to the placement of the cameras, made it difficult to interpret what had preceded the pepper spraying. She seemingly withheld evidence from the community to remain in charge of the narrative, to harm the reputation of two young men, and to defend the actions of her officers. And even if she did not have the surveillance video at the time of the press release, she received it at some point afterwards and still did not correct her narrative. As the press release continues, she mentions that no Michigan State University students were arrested in the incident. This aligns with her repeated othering, as well as her later statement about minorities coming in from the outside to commit crimes. Her belief that the MSU student equates to acceptable young white people and non-MSU students are unacceptable outsiders and minorities is a disgusting trope, and again should be cause for her dismissal. She continues with hyperbole to state that there were 52 calls for service, implying that all of these occurred in the downtown area, when in fact, the LPD case and arrest report only lists 9 incidences in the downtown area over the weekend. This exaggeration is another attempt to excuse the officers' responses by leading readers to believe that they were so overwhelmed and it was for this reason they pepper sprayed 2 men in the face. Brown then states that several ELPD officers observed physical violence occurring between Smith and Woods. Smith and Woods are friends. The Dave security video shows them greeting each other and later one man hugging the other. There is absolutely no evidence of violence. If she based this statement solely on the word of her officers, and those words have now been clearly refuted by the tape, has she disciplined those officers for their fabrications? Where's the public apology and the dismissal of the charges? Brown goes on to state that Smith was held until sober and released later that day. It was known that night he was arrested that he was sober and he blew a 0.0 at the jailhouse. Jailhouse rules, as previously provided to LEPOC, require anyone legally intoxicated to be held a minimum of 8 hours. Mr. Smith was not held 8 hours. In fact, he was released shortly after booking. Again, Brown slanders a man by accusing him of public drunkenness to deflect from the treatment he received at the hand of her officers. The press release was problematic in many ways. Tied with her comment about minorities and criminality, it is clear that she is not the right person for the job. As I mentioned last week, while I always support giving people time to grow, we are talking about a person in charge of individuals who carry guns and make decisions that cause lifelong harm if made incorrectly. We do not have the luxury of time that it takes for a white person soaked to the bone in white supremacy, which is a consequence of growing up white in America, to do the work necessary to understand the systemic and institutionalized racism. We need to find someone who has made it their life's mission to incorporate the work into everything they do. Those of you on council who are white may spend your whole life never understanding the trauma that is inflicted by being wrongfully stopped, having force used upon you, being arrested, accused of a crime that you did not commit, going through the process of arraignment, pleadings, jury selection, trial, and a verdict. But black and brown people often do know or know someone who has. As the parent of black children, I know only too well the trauma my children have experienced at the hands of the local police departments for basically existing while black. I spent a weekend with one child on a psych ward who contemplated suicide after being wrongfully thrown down and handcuffed. Another child moved out of the community specifically to avoid constant surveillance and harassment. The harm inflicted on Mr. Woods and Mr. Smith is irreparable. Even if the charges are dropped tomorrow, as they should be, they will live with the trauma inflicted upon them both physically and emotionally. We cannot continue to do the same things and expect a different outcome. Jen Brown was never the right choice for this community. She did not meet the minimum qualifications for the job. She was not chosen by the panel of citizens who represented the community. We had the opportunity to go in a different direction, but this city manager wasted $30,000 on a search to pretend he was listening to the community and then went with the candidate who most closely aligned with his conservative and archaic views of policing. This community cannot tolerate more of the same. This council needs to act and make the changes now that show that we are the welcoming community that we like to believe we are. Thank you.
Thank you. Ernest Connerly.
George, you know you wasn't supposed to make me go after Cass.
I just took them in the order that they were appearing to me, so.
All right. My statement is to the city manager. I wanted to speak to you tonight because I was both disheartened and deeply disappointed that you chose to give Chief Brown yet another pass. You justified this decision by saying there were three things that came into play. One, that we needed balance. One, the second, the department had too many leadership changes, and that this was a community of learning, a place where this could be a teachable moment. But I must ask you, how many teachable moments does she get? I must say that I have respect for the police, but I also have respect for people who acknowledge and accept wrongdoing. And this is a pattern that continues where our department refuses to acknowledge and then play the victim card towards the community that we are wrong for criticizing them, even though the rest of the world get criticized for when they don't do their jobs, even you guys. I also want to remind you that during the interview process, the community panel rated her a very far distant third among the finalists, yet you still chose her. Leadership is not about keeping a seat filled, it's about having the courage to make hard decisions when trust has been broken. And while no one likes constant leadership change, at what point do you, sir, finally say she's not it? All of the comments that she has made has been harmful, whether they made the news or not. She has shown that she has no respect or understanding for people who don't look like her, act like her, or talk like her. So I ask you again, at what point is she running out of teachable moments? You passed over very qualified candidates, just as Kim did when he passed over the guy from Lake County to make her the deputy chief, despite her not being the qualified and despite the community panel not supporting her. I can guarantee you that BIPOC people are never given this many teachable moments. And those two young men were not given a teachable moment. The chief blatantly lied, and we need to call it what it was. It was a blatant lie. And she has not repented for that. What makes me sad the most is that you, Mr. City Manager, dismissed the fact that the people across the community have said her apology was empty and baseless. You said some folks thought her apology was not enough because it didn't have actionable steps. Who are those some folks? Because I recall that some folks included the only black council member, the black president of the NAACP, the black chair of LEPOC, and the black parents of the kids who have been harmed. And you said that those were some folks. How disrespectful when their kids were harmed by blatant lies. These are the very people that is impacted by this decision. So I ask you again, at what point has she run out of teachable moments? When hurts the most is watching the public divide themselves, repeatedly posting comments saying that she spoke the truth. Is really equating BIPOC people to increase crime the truth when our own data report says it's the opposite? What matters is at some point you have to look inward as her boss and say, did I make the right choice, and atone for it. I also want to remind you that a data report came out just before this event that said East Lansing Police has a habit of disproportionately mistreating juveniles who they perceive to be black or white females, and that's exactly what happened on Welcome Week. I say to you, sir, at what point has she run out of teachable moments? How many more teachable moments are you going to force us to take when you don't allow the police to give teachable moments to the people of this community? What saddens me is that I look at this room and see a great division where one group of people is sitting on one side of the room and the other color is sitting on the other side of the room. This was never meant to be personal. This was meant to call in the facts. And the facts came out when the video was released, and there's been nothing but silence. And I don't expect the city council to do anything. I expect you to, sir, because you hired her, you chose her, and you said to the community that she was the best choice. This all falls at your shoes, not the council, but I implore them to force you to do your job, which is to hold your employee accountable.
You have 30
And if
seconds
you can't
remaining.
do that, then maybe they need to hold you accountable. It's not fair that you can sit there and be quiet and watch this community divide by race, by job description, and still say you stand behind your chief because you don't want to have leadership change. So I ask you one final time, at what point has she run out of teachable moments? Even as a principal, at some point I have to suspend the kid after we have tried and tried and tried to teach them. So I ask you, when has she run out of teachable moments?
Thank you. Aaron Stevens?
Hi, guys. My name's Aaron Stevens. I was the mayor here for a little while, and I was mayor when we passed the Police Oversight Commission. When I was 18, I moved to East Lansing as a student, and I immediately fell in love with the city. It's where my wife and I met. It's where we live. We're proud to be citizens here. On the night of April 23rd, the first year that I was here, I guess technically the morning of the 24th, it was like 2 a.m. My freshman year, I woke up to a swarm of MSU police officers in my dorm. It was in my underwear, I had really no clue what was going on, but there were 4 of them, there was a dog, and they were asking me to get out of bed. I really didn't know what was going on. Apparently there was a noise complaint, like in the dorm next to us, but because they were knocking on the door and they didn't get a response, I was asleep like with my headphones in because it was a Saturday. And you know, there is loud, there's noise. But because I didn't answer, the RA got the master key, let the police in, and then they took all of my roommates and put us on a couch. Again, like barely allowed to put on clothing at that point. And they started stripping down our room to search for contraband. Granted, they did find a couple of beers. I apologize. I was an 18-year-old in freshman year. I had a couple of beers in my room. But that was then used as justification for the search after they had already come into the room. Even though they had the wrong dorm and they had already come in at that point. It was really traumatizing. We sat on the couch, again, basically in our underwear. In the middle of the night, several people peering out of their dorm doors, like in the same hallway, trying to see what was going on while all 4 officers were asking us like different questions. Again, I had just woken up. No idea what was really going on. I was terrified. It was close to 2 a.m. And I know that was the date because I was holding a vigil for the Armenian genocide the day after, which is why I was at home at 2 a.m. on a Saturday night as a freshman. I know that's why, and that's why I had headphones in because I knew I had to be there really early in the morning. No one ever gave me an explanation for what happened or why it happened. Not the RA, none of the officers, no one. None of the officers had body cameras on, and I really didn't have like a place to turn. I tried asking the community manager of the dorm if they could give me any answers for it, and he just said we were lucky that they weren't writing us up for the beer. I didn't have a place to go, and so I was like really, really proud when the city decided and asked for and called for an oversight commission, a place for people to go. And to be clear, like they could have been told that there was like a weapon in the dorm, right? Like that's why they came in, but I don't know because there was never a system or a body put in place to help me find those answers, at least not one that was publicly available to me. When I was on the council, and I know Mark and Dana remember this, the police released a press release for an arrest for a crime with an individual that was later cleared of that, a very serious crime. When you look up that name, it's now associated with something that will follow him for the rest of his life. After that happened, we put a policy in place that we wouldn't name names on arrest releases where there weren't extreme exigent circumstances, because there's virtually no upside to doing it, but a really significant downside if we did, and then it turned out that we were wrong. Based on the release that I saw earlier, that policy clearly has not continued. I've learned that the charges against the kid who was clearly not instigating a fight, but attempting to de-escalate the situation, haven't been dropped. I watched that video. It pretty clearly contradicts what was said in that ELPD release. I understand the position you guys are all in. I've been in that position myself. I know the natural instinct is to be defensive, but the correct instinct in this situation is to be understanding. Understanding that there is a kid that is currently being used as a pawn to justify what could have been something that ELPD called a mistake, took accountability for, and moved on from. Controlling the situation in the moment and doubling and tripling down after the fact are 2 very different things. Officers have an incredibly difficult job, but they have power over your constituents in a way that requires additional oversight. That's why the commission exists. That's why thousands of people called for it when we put it in place. I implore you to right this situation and to not make things worse by hampering the board that was put in place to make sure that your citizens have people doing the very difficult but necessary work of making sure that people are being treated fair in your city. I appreciate your guys' time. Thanks.
Thank you. Katja Erickson.
Good evening. My name is Khadijah Erickson, and I'm here tonight because East Lansing has a policing crisis rooted in racism. The recent arrests and comments are not accidents. They are the product of a system that keeps hiring people who see Black and brown residents as threats to be controlled instead of community members to be respected and held. That is violence, that is harm, and it is happening under your watch. Let's be clear, the community did fight for a police oversight committee, and it happened. It exists right now. And this council and the city leadership have worked to weaken it, to undermine it, and to strip it of its power. If you are serious about accountability, then you would empower that commission fully to do fully transparent investigations and to demand accountability. We need to stop treating police oversight committees as threats. They're not. They're meant to increase transparency and accountability with the community. They're meant to help rebuild trust that's lost when police departments are allowed to do whatever they want without any checks or balances on their behavior. It's very important that the community is able to trust the body that is meant to police the actions that are happening within them. What do we expect people to do when they are in serious situations and they need actual help, and we are expecting them to turn to a police department that will come here to the council tonight and express that because they're overwhelmed with their job, it's okay to be racist and to profile people while they're on their job. I am the executive director of a nonprofit. If I were ever caught discriminating against someone looking for help from me, a housing organization, I would be forced to resign from my job. My board would step in, as they should, to remove me from my position, so I could not continue to perpetuate harm on the people we are meant to help and uplift. It has always been my understanding that the police were meant to be people you are supposed to turn to when you are in trouble. If you need help, they're people you are supposed to go to. I was always raised to believe that these people are meant to be helpers. Yet, as I've grown older, I've only been met with examples outside of my community and within my community that the police are not there to help me. I have never been in a situation where I actually needed the police and I reached for them. I have reached for the police for other people because that has been their request. But I do not feel like they are there to protect me and uplift my issues, and this is not dependent on race. This includes me potentially being a victim of domestic violence. I have never looked to them as people I could turn to uplift me and keep me safe in a moment where my life is in actual danger. Right? And so then we have young students who come to Michigan State University excited to start a new life, to enjoy being an adult, have a new lease on life, being able to make their own decisions, right? And you talk about how this is a learning community and people are allowed to make mistakes, yet we see time and time again when young Black and brown people come here to attend university, to work here, to be a part of this community, they are not afforded the opportunity to make mistakes. They are not allowed to act outside of what this community has decided is acceptable behavior for Black and brown people, right? And so then it is confusing to hear anyone say that this is a learning environment when only a certain subset of our community is able to make mistakes and then learn from them. And again, I would be remiss to not point out again that if I were to put out a press release where I lied about the facts of the case, about what was going on, I would be out of a job, and rightfully so, because when you are in a position as the executive director of a nonprofit, when you are the chief of police, you have a responsibility to ensure that when you open your mouth and you speak words, that you are speaking the truth and that you can stand behind transparently everything that you are alleging. And what we saw with the chief of police, Jen Brown, is that they are willing to lie openly to the community, and when they are presented with evidence that shows that they are a liar, that they will not correct the record, that they will continue full steam ahead. And we are seeing within their police department that the people who work under her also feel the same way. They have no
You have
reason
30 seconds
to
remaining.
take accountability because their chief does not take accountability, and there's no real demand from the people in the authority to make her take that responsibility and accountability. They are not calling for it, right? And so there is no environment of learning here. This is an environment of enabling people to make horrible, harmful decisions that have lifelong impacts. And as you can see, it is leading to an exodus of certain people from your community, and that is a shame. You are losing out on a lot when these people leave this community, when they don't bring their skills, their time, their talent to you. That is a huge loss, and you could rectify that by choosing to take the path of accountability and ensuring that Chief Jen Brown does not have her position anymore, and taking the time to do actual due diligence and have someone who is qualified for the job in that position. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Do you have some more slips?
Not right now. I will in a second, though.
Okay. You can just bring them up. Ma'am, you can just bring them up. Thanks. Sam Usman Jr.
Good evening. My name's Sam Mohammed Usman Jr. I have lived in this community for a little over 35 years. I have 5 sisters, and every single one of my sisters has I have brother-in-laws from all different races and religions. Every major race and religion is in my nuclear family. Okay, I grew up in this community. I went to Red Cedar Elementary School. I love this community. I went to McDonald. I went to Hannah when this was a middle school. I graduated from East Lansing High School, and I graduated from Michigan State with a criminal justice degree. I've done absolutely nothing with that degree. And the reason why I chose that degree is because I used to get in a lot of trouble. I was one of those kids that was down there running the streets, doing things I shouldn't have been doing. And I'm not saying all of them. I'm not here to speak on one specific incident at all. So I hear what you guys are saying. I'm not here to talk about that. I'm here to talk about the global picture. Okay? I'm a business owner. I employ a little over 300 people in this area. And I think that we're all here because we want what's best for this community. I think we all share that. We all want everybody to be safe. But the problem is we don't understand one another. I don't think that everybody understands what they go through. I don't think that they necessarily understand what some of the people up here necessarily go through. And we are dividing ourselves more than we are uniting ourselves, and this country has a big problem, as we all know. So it's weird for me to be up here to speak on behalf of the police, because my entire life I've been on the opposite side. And for the first time ever as a business owner in East Lansing, I had an opportunity to sit down with the police chief. And I was amazed at how open she was to working with us, because there is a big problem downtown. There's a big problem. I got a staff down there, doesn't feel safe. Patrons don't feel safe. We all want everybody to be safe. But for the first time, and I don't mean to disrespect the police in years prior, but this is the first time where I feel like they have been proactive, and they're in a lot of right places now, because we feel much safer today. We actually have a relationship with the police now. So once again, I'm not here to talk about any incident. I don't know the details of those things, but I know that I feel better about my business downtown. I know that I feel better, for my staff, and I know that I feel better for when I bring my 3 daughters downtown. I feel a little bit safer with some of the things that are happening today. So I just want everybody to understand what the other side is dealing with. And some of my questions that I would ask to you guys, whoever's speaking on behalf or against the police, is, are you guys down there in the middle of the night seeing what's going on? And I know
Just direct your comments to the council, please. This is not a town hall. You're here to address the council, so please address us.
Yeah, well, I'm going to speak. So I just want everybody to understand better, and that's what I'm getting at. If people were down there and seeing what's happening, they might understand that the police aren't perfect. A lot of stuff happens, and a lot of things might escalate very, very quickly. if some measures aren't taken. So I'm not necessarily defending everything that they've done, but I know that they're trying very, very hard from what I can see now. I'm actually really happy with the police system, and I know that there's been incidences that everybody's talking about tonight that I don't know those details of. So anyways, I just want to let you know, from my perspective, I'm in support of the police right now.
Thank you. Diamara, Didi?
Get it later. I just want to start off by saying, and I know I've been here a few times now, and I am going to now keep coming because I feel like for over 14 years, me and my family have been quiet. And over 14 years ago, I think I've spoken about that, my son was a victim of the East Lansing Police Department. And as we know, not all police are bad police, and nor will I say that. But I will tell you, through our experience, it was nothing but cover-ups. It was nothing but lies. It was nothing but trying to destroy a young man's character instead of trying to uplift him, and for also harassing us as the family. And I'm a person, I've always either worked for Department of Corrections or in the court system, and we were harassed as well. So this is not anything I would say that's against the police, it's against the behavior of some of the things that have happened. Has nothing to do with being against the police at all. So I will say this, I know recently you guys announced that you're opening an investigation into the incident with the officers with the pepper spraying downtown directly into his eyes. I do want to say that I appreciate that this investigation has been open, even though I have little faith that it will be carried out in a truly unbiased way. The community has seen too many investigations end without justice or accountability. And let's be clear, your police chief and the city manager reviewed the tape before releasing a statement and names in an attempt to change the narrative and make those young men look like the villains. This is not accountability. This is damage control, and it shows us, once again, that protecting the system has taken priority over protecting the people. This is why I am still calling, for Chief Brown to step down. Her comments about minorities were not a slip of the tongue. They revealed a mindset that is not capable with leading a diverse community. You can train people how to follow procedures, but you cannot train away biased behavior. And when that person is in charge, it sets the tone. It spreads through an entire department. For years, and I've been in this community for over 34 years, East Lansing has carried the weight of racial tension in policing. The city needs a leader who can calm those tensions, not inflame them. Someone who can build trust instead of tearing it down. And I want to remind everyone here, we also need to think carefully about who we are voting into city council. If we elect people who align themselves with police leaders and make these kinds of statements, then we will continue to face the same problem over and over, and there will still be a lack of accountability. Real change requires not only better leadership in the police department, but also elected officials who are committed to fairness, transparency, and justice. And for my last thing, I feel like, well, I have a couple more things, but until this leadership has made a decision, I am not only asking anyone that believes in fairness and that everyone is treated fair. If the police is not going to treat us right downtown East Lansing, to not go downtown in East Lansing and spend our money. I'm asking for us to stay away, for people to stay away from East Lansing, to stop spending money in East Lansing until we start seeing justice if we're not wanted down there. And like I heard Pastor Jamal Bryant say, we are not boycotting because we're angry. We're boycotting because we are aware of our power. In this city, if the city will not listen to our voices, perhaps it will listen to our absence at the cash register. And I want to say this as well. Anyone that excuses Chief Brown's behavior is part of the problem. That's it.
Thank you. Harper Riley?
Hello. I've grown up in East Lansing my entire life, 31 years. Family's owned businesses here since the 80s. And I grew up with some of the kids of the people that have spoken today. Side by side with them, played sports with them, so I can sympathize or empathize with those situations. I kind of want to piggyback off what Sam said. Maybe it takes some of us to sit down in other rooms or other avenues outside of a place like this where it's just one-way speaking, where you can bring tangible solutions, you can bring your personal experiences. Everyone can come from both sides to have that type of healthy conversation rather than aggressive rhetoric or disparaging accusations, whether they be true or not. I think that's the healthiest way, because what we all want is a solution. What we all want is safety in our downtown. And right now, I offer the opportunity, just like Johnny did a couple weeks ago, walk with us together in downtown after 1 a.m. We'll walk through the streets. We'll see what happens, whether it's good police efforts or whatever. We'll see what happened live. We won't see it through video clips. We won't see it through retroactive statements. And then from there, we can come up with our recommendations. We can come up with what we support, what we don't support. And right now, from what I see in the streets, brawls, assaults on businesses, assaults on business staff. My staff of over 145 employees doesn't feel safe walking home at night. We have to facilitate rides for them home at the end of every shift. So I think we just need to come together in other arenas outside of here to discuss these things and come up with a way forward. All right, thank you.
Thank you. Johnny Vlahakis? Johnny Vlahakis? Yeah, well, we can stop the meeting right now if you want to, sir. We'll just stop, because this is public comment and people have the chance to come up, and you had your chance, with all due respect to you. So, Mr. Vlahakis?
Hi, my name is Johnny Vlahakis. I'm general manager at Ellis Teco, right downtown. I had a whole bunch of stuff to say tonight, but after hearing a lot of comments tonight, I feel like I need to redirect what I'm going to say. First, I'd like to start with, when I look around the room, I recognize a lot of faces, mainly in the last 2 rows right here, because this is your bars, your restaurants, your police, all the people that are down in East Lansing every weekend, and they're the ones that are on the front lines dealing with everything that we have going on in East Lansing. I'm not talking about 1 or 2 issues. I'm talking about at least 100 issues that I've seen since the school year started. Multiple fights, multiple weapon issues. I mean, just last weekend alone, I can recall 2 different gun calls that the police had to go to, multiple fights. I had to lock my doors in my restaurant 2 hours early on Saturday just because it wasn't safe out front and there was too many fights and too many issues going on. We had a girl get pepper sprayed in our own bathroom, trying to get jumped by somebody, by a group of girls. Multiple different departments coming down. We've got Ingham County Sheriff and State Police that are setting up regularly down in East Lansing because they can see for themselves that there's a problem going on down here, and ELPD needs help to resolve it. I know a lot of these East Lansing cops, most of them. I've got a good relationship with them. We see the same things. I'm down there every weekend. I don't know how many other people can say that they're down there till 3 o'clock or later in the morning, every Friday and Saturday night. I see how these officers work. I see how Chief Brown has been down there herself working. Last time I was here, I spoke about the tasing incident, and I told you guys exactly how it worked from before it started till after it ended. Everybody else just got to see a version of a clip of a video that was on social media. I was there for the entire thing on the sidewalk, 15 feet away. The problem is not by color. It's just, everybody wants to talk about black and brown. It's got nothing to do with the color. The problem is what is happening in the streets, on the sidewalks, in the plaza. The plaza turns into a block party. There was a huge block party on, I think it was Spartan, this weekend, that it took the police an extra hour to get their drone up in the air when downtown was starting to become a problem because the police were too busy trying to clear the roads so that people could drive down those streets. Back to the drone. The drone's not something that the city of East Lansing just has a bunch of money to go spend on. There's something that is needed down here. There's so many issues at different times. There's not enough police to handle the crowds. Putting this drone up in the air helps them be able to see everything, get places quicker, get eyes on everything so they know what they're walking into. The stuff that happens in front of my restaurant, I've got staff that doesn't want to leave. We locked our doors at 12 o'clock, 12:10 on Saturday night. I had staff that stayed there till 3:40, which means I had to stay there till 4. I can't go home till everybody goes home and everybody feels safe. Half of them didn't want to leave because there's too much bullshit going on, going on out front. We can't continue to just turn a blind eye to this. It's got nothing to do with color. Again, it's if you come down there and you can stand out front. Councilmember Altman's done it a couple times now. I ask everybody, come down, just see what's going on, see what we're talking about. It's not about color, it's just about the unlawfulness that's just happening down there. And it's getting out of control. A lot of people have gotten hurt, a lot of people have gotten arrested. Somebody's gonna die if this doesn't get controlled. October is not an easy month for this city. We just had homecoming, now we got Halloween coming up in Michigan. It's just gonna bring more and more people down here.
30 seconds remaining.
And more issues are gonna come with that. Last weekend, we had Lansing's Violent Crimes Unit down in East Lansing. I go around and I talk with the police. I ask them what's going on. I like to know what's going on, where it's going on, if it's around us, if I need to lock my doors early because the wrong people are around. They're recognizing people, multiple people from different gangs and different crews, and they don't like each other, and they're all in the same area, and it's just a recipe for disaster. And a lot of these people that they're recognizing, they recognize from other shooting cases that have happened in the past. So they're not just guessing here. They see these guys, they dealt with them before. The police have had they've been handcuffed for so long to be able to police East Lansing that now it's so out of control that Chief Brown's on the right track, trying to get us back to where we need to be. But it's so deep right now, we've got to call in departments from all over.
Okay, thank you. I'm going to have trouble reading this one. Is it Marios Fortatis?
Thank you, Council. My name is Marios Fortiadis, and I've been the general manager of Fieldhouse for the last 6 years. In that time, I've seen how much the environment in downtown East Lansing has changed, especially in recent years. The past few years have brought more violence and criminal behavior than ever before, and I see it firsthand every night working the doors at Fieldhouse. This year, though, I've noticed a major difference. The East Lansing Police Department has been more proactive and present than any previous year. Their involvement has helped prevent countless incidents from escalating, including situations involving individuals that I don't even recognize. I haven't seen any cases of police brutality or unjustified use of force, and I see this firsthand, right in front of me, every night. What I have seen is professionalism, strong communication, and quick action that's kept both our staff and our customers safe. Their presence has been a real positive impact in our community. And for everybody, Council, I urge, just like previous members have said, I urge everybody to stop by downtown from the hours of 10 p.m. to 3 a.m. and walk the streets with us. My staff doesn't feel safe either. There's multiple occasions where, we close the doors at 1 or 2 a.m. and the staff do not leave till 4 a.m. to 5 a.m. because they feel unsafe to walk down the streets of East Lansing, including myself. This is why I park my car in front of Fieldhouse every time, every weekend. I get a $30 ticket every weekend, every Friday and Saturday, because I do not want to walk down the streets and potentially get harmed. So, thank you, Council.
Thank you. Karen Honey? I got it right.
You got it right. I just had to do the little phonetic thing for you.
And it helped.
Members of City Council and City Manager Robert Belleman, my name is Karen Honey. I'm a lifelong resident of East Lansing. I graduated from East Lansing High School. My kids graduated from East Lansing High School. My grandkids are in East Lansing schools. I served on the East Lansing School Board, and I've been about 7 years now on the Human Rights Commission. My comments tonight are my own, but I give you that background because I care deeply about this community. And the comments that I'm making tonight are not about what's going on downtown. I don't dispute the business owners' issues that they are talking about. And again, as I spoke at the last time I came and I made public comment, it's a false equivalency that if we have oversight of our police department, that means that the police department cannot do their jobs and keep people safe. But I divert. It is no secret that the East Lansing Police Department has a history and reputation of racist policing and excessive use of force against people of color. Only a few short months ago, the city hired a firm to find the best possible candidate to be our new chief of police. Many stakeholders, including the East Lansing Independent Police Oversight Commission and the Human Rights Commission, urged the hiring committee to prioritize an individual with the ability to address racial disparities in policing and to help repair the legacy of harm caused to communities of color by our police force. A candidate that could help facilitate and bridge community trust in local law enforcement. Now here we are, just a few months into Jen Brown's tenure as police chief, and we are once again in the spotlight for excessive use of force against people of color and blatantly racist, inaccurate, and offensive comments made publicly by this new police chief. It is the year 2025. The Supreme Court just upheld the Trump administration's right to racially profile people based on their skin color and their spoken language. Voter suppression is rampant and the Voting Rights Act is under attack. But you all have the authority and the power to help create a better community, a community that is truly equitable, responsive, and safe for everyone. There is no middle ground when it comes to racism. Either you're on the side of racism or you're on the side of anti-racism, both as individuals and as a governing body. Sitting on the fence is not an option. Silence is complicity. The comments made by Police Chief Brown are completely unacceptable. Our city manager openly admitted publicly that her words were racist, but then followed up that acknowledgement with a pledge of support, believing that she was regretful and that she should be given the opportunity to learn and grow from her mistakes. If she wants to learn and grow from her mistakes, more power to her, but she can do it on somebody else's dime, because it is a lifelong undertaking, not something that can be remedied with a few hours of training or an anti-racism workshop. A police chief should have a basic understanding of implicit bias and of the power of a police department to inflict damage and trauma on historically oppressed communities. Chief Brown's words and actions make it clear that she does not possess these capabilities. If you choose to brush this under the rug, to make excuses, or to do nothing, then these are some of the examples of the kind of people and mentalities that you're choosing to support, and these are comments taken right off of social media. And I apologize because they're offensive. So very tired of the race bait stories. I don't shop in East Lansing anymore. It's a sanctuary city, which means they don't need my American money. Maybe if that certain demographic wasn't responsible for most crimes, so statistically, city officials wouldn't say such things. They don't want to hear the truth. She spoke the truth. The crime statistics don't lie. In fact, is probably way worse than what the crime stats say. The inner city always lie about their crime. Get over it. Those who come into our city and break the law and resist need a little force. I'm not talking about beatings. I'm talking about people complaining that the ground was too hard or the pavement too rough. This is just a small sample of the comments found on social media. So I conclude by asking you again, which side are you on? Are you on the side of racism or are you on the side of anti-racism? There is no middle ground. The decisions that you make moving forward will speak volumes about what you stand for and what you want your legacy to be in this community. Thank you.
Thank you. Pat Riley?
You didn't realize you were going to get two people from my household in one night, and neither did I. I didn't come to speak about the majority of what everybody has spoken to you here about. You received a letter from me with regard to my and my wife's opinions with regard to Chief Brown and the police department, so you already know what I think about that. What I'm here to talk to you about is that I'm old school. I believe your responsibilities on the city council and the city manager, your one and primary responsibility is the safety of the community and its members. Not a library, not a soccer field, the safety of everyone who resides here. Right now, that safety is in extraordinary jeopardy. You only have to look at the pictures in the news media showing you the results of pulling over a car and finding 9mm guns and AR-15s right in downtown East Lansing. When the CVS was closed down because of gunfire, multiple AR-15s and multiple 9mm weapons. There are people downtown East Lansing every Friday night after midnight with guns in their belts and knives in their belts. Someone's going to die. How do I know everybody thinks it's dangerous? Because that's what it is. When Harper said, and some of the other people said we have to lock our doors or we have to worry about walking home, it is so dangerous that we arrange rides for every single employee leaving work. What town has to do that? Who's going to take responsibility for it and fix it? About 20 years ago, we had 68 officers allowed in the city of East Lansing, funded. Law enforcement officers who had arrest authority. We have 51 authorized and 1 in training that will be a replacement for a retiree. But we basically have 51 now. And out of that 51, there's only 39 who can be on the streets right now because of people in training and people on light duty or people who are off. This city can't be policed by 39 police officers. Is there some kind of correlation? We didn't have this kind of problem 20 years ago when we had 68 police officers and now we have 39 on the streets? I think so. And so it's incumbent upon you all to do something about it. We need more police presence downtown. We have to control the people who are down there with ill intent. They have violence on their mind. You don't carry a gun downtown to East Lansing because you came down to party. You came down with a gun because you have an intent to use it. We need you as a city council and the next city council to rearrange your budget to make sure that the city manager has enough funds for an adequate police department that will keep all the citizens safe. I don't care where you come from. I don't care what you look like. You deserve safety in East Lansing. I've lived here for over 40 years, maybe 50 now, and I've never seen it like this. Thank you.
Marlon Beard.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Marlon Beard. I'm with Advanced Peace Lansing. I'm Assistant Strategy Manager, and our team has been brought in to help to reduce the chances of cyclical and retaliatory gun violence from erupting in the streets of East Lansing. I'm here representing the community. I'm not a resident of East Lansing, but we are definitely committed to helping the community of East Lansing to not have to deal with cyclical and retaliatory gun violence. We have seen, in 4 weeks, we have seen activity and behavior that is consistent with gun violence. I agree with the gentleman that was just talking. I've never seen it like this in East Lansing. I've been a Lansing resident my entire life, and I spent a lot of weekends out here as a youth myself, and I've never seen East Lansing like this. So what I would like to say to the council is that we need more resources. You need more community violence interrupters. My team is only, I would say we're like a 12-man and woman team right now, and it's not enough. We do have influence with a lot of the individuals in the community, as well as East Lansing, as well as Lansing, and we definitely use our influence and our expert street outreach skills to detour and de-escalate situations that could lead to gun violence. But as he said, there's guns, there's individuals that are walking around prepared to use guns, and there's only so much that a few people can do and influence. So I think that everyone should take these individuals that have gotten up here and warned you about the violence and what can and will happen if we don't do something about it. In 4 weeks, I have seen enough to know from my many hours of training and experience that gun violence is prevalent in East Lansing. So whatever you can do as a council to increase the CVI, Community Violence Intervention movement out here, I would suggest you do it now. Thank you.
Thank you. Nadia Sellers?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, for having me. George Floyd, Breonna Taylor, Eric Carter, Michael Brown. Not all cops, one cop. One cop. Justin, I hear you. I have family members who are police officers too who wear the badge. But they do so respectively, and they do so in a manner where they're responsible. I personally have never had a bad encounter with an East Lansing police officer, not one. But I'm not here to talk about me. Some of you are talking about it like it's your encounter. This is not about you. One thing I want you to know, my son owned a business in East Lansing, the House of Souls, right here on Grand River. He too is a businessman. My son, Lonnie Smith, is accused of disorderly conduct, but the video shows he wasn't disorderly. My son's accused of fighting, but the video shows there was no fight. In fact, the individual in the video with my son is Kelly's son, Mason Woods, his best friend and brother. Why haven't these charges been dropped? Why is Officer Lyon Kingsbury, one officer who blatantly attempted to blind my son, still on active duty? Why has he not been suspended? Mr. Mayor, City Manager, why has this officer not been suspended? Let's talk about the facts, because Justin, I want you to know them. Your chief redacted footage from the police body cam and leaked it to the press to frame my son as a criminal and tie him to all the violence in the city of East Lansing. Justin, your police chief, had videos in her possession that proved my son was unlawfully arrested and innocent, but chose not to release them to the press. Instead, your chief released the redacted body cam footage to the press even before she gave it to my son's attorney. Let's talk about you city East Lansing business owners. Your chief put out a press release that she wrote personally, calling them criminals and making racist statements. MAGA lies, straight out of Donald Trump's playbook, to cause division. Yet, she has not been reprimanded. Your chief, Justin, attempted to cover up a crime by one officer, and yet nothing has been done. I met with Mr. Bellarmine last Friday. We had a great conversation. But I'm still confused. Because, Mr. Bellman, you said you had not seen the video until October 10th. But you said after you saw the video, you were also confused on why the charges weren't dropped. You said the city attorney is the one who wants to see how it plays out. See what play out, Mr. Bellman? This is a misdemeanor. This is not a felony with a gun. This is a misdemeanor. Your office is upstairs from the police department. You mean to tell me you supervise Chief Brown, but you have no clue about what she's doing, especially since what she's doing is playing out in the media, in the press? You said there was an investigation, but who's investigating it? And when are we going to get answers? The chief blames it on the prosecutor blames it on the city attorney blames it on the city manager, and the city manager says, I don't know, I'm just waiting. Wow, who's running the city of East Lansing? Mr. Mayor, I hope to God it's you. You know what's going on? You can give us answers. The chief attempt to ruin the life of a young man 21 years old. Wow, his life barely has begun. A business owner, a senior at a major university, no gun, no record, no knife, no drugs, no alcohol. The chief has a son of her own. So I ask all of you, Justin, officers, businessmen, look at the video from Dave's Hot Chicken. Imagine that being your son, being criminalized at 21 years old in the local press that eventually will become national press because we're still carrying this on for something he didn't do. Everyone's trying to cover their butt, but it's not going to make it better, not at all. So I say, let the truth prevail, because you're innocent until proven guilty. So why is the police department trying to prove my son guilty when he's innocent? I don't understand this. Councilmen and women, raise your hand if you agree with the racist narrative Jen Brown has put out. Raise your hand. Okay, I take it you don't agree. The only person to speak up and be bold is Kath Etzel. And you guys don't like that about her. But she stands for unity, not division, and that's what we need in the city of East Lansing.
You have 30 seconds remaining.
So I tell you what, all of you guys running for city council, Steve Whelan, silent. Chuck Grisby, silent. Adam DeLay, silent. Lee Enrique, silent. When you're silent, you're telling us you agree with the racist negative narrative put out by the leader of the chief of police. This is sad, and you guys should really be ashamed, all of you, all of you.
Thank you. Tajmika Torak?
Hello, my name is Tajmika Torak. I don't live in East Lansing, but Chief Brown's recent comments put a target on the backs of Black and brown people across the entire Tri-County area. When she said that minorities flood your city and commit crimes, she painted us all as criminals. We are not outsiders or threats. We are human beings deserving of a community that values our presence and protects our human rights. We are community members who live and raise families here, who shop in your businesses, work in your public and private institutions, pay tuition at MSU, volunteer for local organizations, and we will be part of what is possible for the city of East Lansing in the future, your failures and your successes. To that point, I would like to extend my heartfelt sympathy to the young man impacted and thank him and his family for sharing the truth with the community. Where police leadership consistently fails young Black men, the people in my community continue to show up and prove that we will fight to keep one another safe. I'd also like to thank all the community members who showed up and helped amplify their story and the attack on Ellie Pock's ability to investigate and provide oversight of the police during such a critical moment in time. The timing of your choices are critical. We now know council is likely to take up Ordinance 1533 after the November 5th election when 2 new members are seated. I hope that any delay is used not to protect police from accountability, but to listen and to learn from the community whose lives are at stake. In August, ELPD officers used force downtown in ways that indicate a profound need for transparency and accountability. The video shows a young man not committing a crime, a young man with no criminal record given only 5 seconds to comply with no warning or visibility before being pepper sprayed at an unsafe distance. Even if he had a criminal record, he would not have deserved this treatment. He was denied medical care, and so were people standing near him, all because an officer could not regulate himself enough to de-escalate without deploying pepper spray. a chemical weapon prohibited in war but still used in our community members here at home. Even if he had been violent, we should all be concerned with how ELPD handles the medical care of people who are arrested and incarcerated. WLNS reporting and surveillance footage undermined the police account, and yet Chief Brown lied to protect the officers who were also lying, delayed and withheld video to mislead the public, and then doubled down with racist remarks blaming minorities for crime. If a civilian lied to the police, we could be criminalized. But Chief Brown can lie, cover up police violence, and keep her position. Police violence is violence. This is not benign. This is white supremacist criminal behavior. If she will not resign, you should fire her immediately. The disparities in this community are well documented. Black residents are 8% of East Lansing, but 36% of arrests. In 2019, Black residents were 41% of serious arrests. 20% of officer-initiated stops are of Black residents, more than double our share of the population. The city's own commission study confirmed racial disparities in use of force. These disparities don't happen by accident. They are the result of decisions about where police patrol, who they target, who they attempt to prosecute, and who has the resources to defend themselves when targeted by police misconduct, bias, and discrimination. So to clarify, as someone qualified by experience to speak to this, it is about race. And we know this because your own ELPD reports tell us so. And the person in the position to influence those practices is who? The police chief. And now, starting in August 2025, ELPD's monthly use of force reports are no longer public, a sudden change based on a legal opinion requested by the city manager. This keeps information from the community and even from LEPOC, silencing oversight at the moment we need it most. In a city that has apologized for decades of redlining and housing discrimination into the 1960s, weakening oversight would repeat old harms. And let's be honest about the broader stakes. We are living in a time when the federal government is enacting harmful and illegal policies against communities of color, queer and trans people, disabled people, and those struggling with housing and food insecurity. Across the country, police are being used as the enforcers of these policies to normalize discrimination, erode civil rights, and advance fascism. East Lansing must not be a part of enabling overreach, whether from federal government or our own local police chief. If you continue to fund police with community resources, you must also hold them accountable. If you cannot maintain your commitment to community safety for all the citizens of East Lansing and those who visit, first, you should also resign. What good is a city council member that is unwilling to take appropriate steps to protect its citizen from anti-Black violence? Second, if you can't promise to provide us with true oversight, it will then become your responsibility to limit their budget on operations so they don't have the resources to enact racist violence against the people who find themselves in the city of East Lansing. Unless it's a sunset town, unless it's only for white people, I guess we will know what kind of city it is based on your decisions. There have been many who will and have voiced respect and a willingness to extend understanding to those policing this community, including Chief Brown. I would say I don't care how nice she is or how attentive she is to protecting property owners and local businesses. I don't care if she attends your picnics or high-fives your kids. I care that so many people who hold public office refuse to do anything to fix it. I care that business owners will take the time out of their day to come protect their property and profits over the people patronizing their establishments, as if we're all here talking about crime prevention. There are community-based solutions to their problems that do not require sacrificing Black and brown bodies and futures in exchange. There are national models that can be explored, but even if we do that, we will still have to deal with racial and ethnic disparities and a lying police chief who may or may not have the support of the city council and her lack of accountability. I cannot respect or make efforts to understand those who use their power and privilege to protect their ability to do state-sanctioned violence against Black and brown people. The police will not police themselves. And unlike the statement Chief Brown made about minorities, we have video proof, evidence that they will lie. I wonder what evidence we will have of your commitment to community safety. Thank you.
Thank you. Do we have anybody in the queue?
There is one caller in the queue.
I'm sorry?
There is one caller in the queue.
Okay.
Caller with the last name Hader, you are now free to address the council.
Hey, my name is Ali Hader. I'm a business owner downtown. I'm sorry I'm out of town and I would love to come in person and present in front of the city council. All these people I've been listening, I'm not sure where they were when my African American employee was attacked and pepper sprayed inside my store. I don't know where all these people were when we have gangs running this downtown from last 2 months and they're supplying drugs. They're supplying Adderall, they're supplying ecstasy, and they're supplying to all these college students who are in the line on the bars. I don't know these people. Where are they when we have to lock down our stores and shut down our operation because we are not safe? So if it's a matter of race, I think I am accusing anyone who is not encouraging the safety in downtown. You guys are racist toward the business owner. You guys are racist toward the city of East Lansing peaceful resident. You guys are also racist. This is coming from a brown man because we're talking about the race here, right? So I'm actually a immigrant and I'm brown. Let's not play the race game. This is all about the safety. Nobody wants to work. The incident happened in my store with an African American employee of mine got pepper sprayed. 7 of employees quit that week. Me, my wife, my son, been running this business because nobody wants to work. So please and please don't accuse anyone of racism. If you come in my parking lot and you stay from 1 to 3, you will see that these police officers are trying their best to protect us. If they are not there, it will be a Wild West. We will be shot down. It's just crazy. I just invested a LVT unit costing me $1,000 in the parking lot just because I felt it. And I have that business in 30 years from there. I have never felt paying $1,000 a month to have a LVT unit in my parking lot. That's how desperate we are there for safety. And if you tell Chief Brown to resign, if she resigns, I'll be the first business to close down and I will be protesting big time against Ali Park because this is a total disaster for the city of East Lansing. This East Lansing Commission is nothing beside bunch of people playing the race card when we are crying over safety. You guys have not done a business in East Lansing. You guys are in your bed at 8 o'clock. We are the one till 3 a.m. there. Please come. We invite you. At least come for 1 week. All these people I see every month on the city council meeting, I never see any of you coming and staying with us. Why don't you come and see what we deal with and then accuse someone for racism? It's not about the race. It's coming from a brown man. It's coming from an immigrant. Please and please, let this East Lansing downtown be peaceful. Let it be kids friendly. Let it be family friendly and stop doing this. Please and thank you.
Okay, Simon Peraza.
Hi, I'm Simon Peraza. I sit on ELIPAC, but I'm here as a member of the public. I also grew up here and went to this school when it was a middle school and all that good stuff. I'm one of those. And I had interactions as a young person dealing with all the neighborhood, all the regional police departments. And I always felt ELPD was the most professional. I dealt with MSU, I dealt with LPD, I dealt with Ingham County Sheriff. We used to have a state police headquarters where 1855 place sits right now. And so I am not talking about ELPD in a context of the worst cops on the planet. I'm talking about this is my community and we have our own standard that we hold folks to. The use of force that was used by ELPD officers on the young man they pepper sprayed on August 24th was completely uncalled for. Coincidentally, the city of EL has unexpectedly decided to make ELPD's monthly use of force reports, they call them response to resistance, I refuse to use that term. Their ELPD's monthly use of force reports, they just decided that these reports that they share every month with East Lansing's Independent Police Oversight Commission are now not open to the public. This not only hides the information from the public, but it also restricts ELIPAC from even discussing it at ELIPAC's monthly meetings, which are of course open to the public. This new unexpected decision to make ELPD monthly use of force reports not open to the public just happens to begin with, you guessed it, ELPD's August 2025 use of force data. At the October 1st LEPOC meeting, we heard from a statistics expert contracted by the city, who after synthesizing the data when it was public, shows extreme disproportionate amount of use of force being used against young black citizens by ELPD, despite the facts that white subjects are more likely to resist police at a level considered violent. All of this is a backdrop to the city's crusade to defang their own civilian police oversight body they just created in late 2021. And I'm going to quote the purpose of it: to increase accountability of the East Lansing Police Department and to strengthen conditions leading to trust in the police department by the community that it is pledged to serve. Because the City Council is committed to the goal of racial equity, the Commission will give priority to addressing racial inequities as well as use of force in policing. Since I grew up here, you hear a lot of stories that people talk about your town that don't live here. And you hear a lot of stories that we say in our town that we choose to believe or just say nothing about. I grew up here hearing about, oh, we don't have crime here. They bring the crime in. When they come, they bring the crime. And I think we forget, we've got tens of thousands of kids here using and buying drugs, countless amounts of sexual assault, unreported and reported, forever, ever since I was a kid. This campus is filled with crime that we choose to act like it doesn't exist. And then we have such a love of alcohol in this town that we line up the business owners who make tons of money dumping alcohol into the kids, and then when they've had too much, they dump them on the street, and then we call the cops to come clean them up. So the taxpayer is helping clean up their drunk buffoons. So we need to stop ignoring like alcohol and money is not a part of this conversation, because you don't get kids drunk until they can't walk, throw them on the street, and then act like you had nothing to do with it. That's all I'm going to say. I'll have a lot more to say about this next week, but I keep getting calls from people from out of town because their kids are getting charged with a felony assault when they're the ones that called the cops. So that's the one I'll be bringing up next week. But this is a nonstop series, and it includes our prosecutor.
30 seconds remaining.
And so I really ask you to think about, from a top to bottom, what kind of city do we want to be? Do we want to hide behind business owners who make tons of money getting kids drunk and act like that has nothing to do with sexual assault, and act like the kids who are in line waiting for chicken are the cause of violence in the city? And when we talk about people walking around downtown East Lansing with guns, do we know how many white people are walking around every day downtown with firearms? And these are the people leaving those comments in your social media. So let's stop playing dumb and start talking about facts. Thank you.
Okay. Moving on, we have communication from council members. Dr. Altman, do you have anything?
Thank you, Mayor. I have now been downtown twice between 1 a.m. and 3 a.m. on a Sunday morning. And a few meetings ago, I reported from my first experience, and I'll offer some comments from this experience too. I counted only 4 jurisdictions represented in our downtown with police officers. I did count 7 cars from the county after I believe our police called in reinforcements. I saw Advance Peace. They were on the street down there doing their jobs. Appreciate their presence. I was surprised to see the LVT unit. I thought it was, Mr. Hayter mentioned that he bought an LVT unit for his parking lot to try to record the activity so that there could be some accountability. I thought that was our unit initially, but I was surprised to discover that a private business in the downtown felt they had to go to those lengths to protect their business and their customers. And I spoke with an officer who, he and I were talking when somebody in a muscle car with a modified muffler peeled out on MAC with a whole bunch of pedestrians walking around there. And the officer's comment was, sooner or later somebody's going to get hit by somebody who's driving irresponsibly downtown, but we can't do anything about it because we have to be on foot to break up the fights. So by the time we get to our car, that car committing the violations is gone. So these are some of the challenges that our officers face in the downtown. And I do want to invite anybody who's curious to go spend the hours between 1 a.m. and 3 a.m. in the downtown on a weekend and see for themselves. It was an eye-opening experience for me. I do also want to report out from a meeting that I had with, well, it wasn't just me. It was some of us from the city and about 30 residents from Newman Lofts last Wednesday. And this meeting was organized by people who live in Newman Lofts as an opportunity to tell us a little bit about the challenges involved in living in our downtown right now. And so there are about 30 residents there, which is a good turnout. And the city was represented by Chief Brown from ELPD and social worker Taylor Knickerbocker from ELPD and Councilmember Meadows and myself. And it was a good meeting. Everybody there, we went around the room and did introductions and people spoke about their concerns. And then we had an opportunity to discuss our perspective on this. And the good news from that meeting is that I learned that we have a neighborhood in our downtown. We have a group of people living in those units. And it's the type of community that we envisioned when we approved that project in 2018. We wanted diverse demographics in our downtown, and we got them. We got a neighborhood that lives down there. The bad news is their life down there is really hard because they can't sleep at night. They literally cannot sleep at night. And the noise is what keeps them up. And there are two components to the noise. One is from the bars right across the street. And for a while we had the owners of Harper's and the manager of the field house. And now I believe we have the manager of Harper's here still. And I would respectfully ask the owners of the bars downtown to recognize that you have neighbors who live there and are trying to sleep at night. And they deserve that ability and they deserve some respect. The other noise issue is the modified mufflers, the ones designed to sound like gunshots. And that's on us, that's on the council, that's not the city, it's the council that needs to fix our ordinance that protects people who have loud mufflers in East Lansing, and I hope that will be part of a package of ordinances that reaches us sometime in the next couple of months. So those are my comments, Mayor. Thank you.
Okay. Ms. Singh?
Yes. I know at the last meeting, when we heard additional public comment on the events around August 24th outside of Dave's Spicy Chicken and the video released, it was new information to me that evening. I believe I had heard, actually, I think it was the Eli Info's podcast who mentioned it. The video came out about 3 hours prior to city council meeting. I have since been able to review additional information and send a request to our city attorney today on his advice on taking next steps for an independent review of not only process and procedures around that evening, but also what led into the public statements by the East Lansing Police Department. Secondly, I know we have ongoing conversations about broader challenges we're facing across the downtown. And I have spoken with our city manager several times. I have also had other conversations about looking forward, and I know that this work is also unfolding amongst city staff and creating a recommended package of responses. That doesn't mean the city does all of that. I think our business partners, our other community members all have a stake in what that can look like. I keep talking about lighting. I'm not a professional, law enforcement person that knows the best procedures to help de-escalate or disperse crowds before anything can happen, but it's a suite of, I call it a suite, a package of items we need to consider, to help address things downtown. I do, and the third, I know the mayor's mentioned this in the past as well in terms of discourse, and I like to reflect that my parents are two public school teachers, American history teachers, and I grew up with this idea, this fantasy of what our government and deliberative government could be, if we can look each other in the eye and talk about problems. And when I look at the national news, and it feels like we've lost a lot, and we may not be at rock bottom yet, but I know there's been public comment yet earlier tonight that talked about we in this room and outside of this room have a choice of what this community can look like and how we can have conversations. And guess what? Talking about race is not easy. Talking about how we rally together to ensure our communities are safe is not easy. But that's what we need to do, and it's hard and sometimes scary and definitely uncomfortable. And sometimes people say the wrong things. Sometimes I know a colleague of mine talks about intent does matter. And I just want us to keep our eyes, ears, and openness because what we're facing today in this community is not easy. So, thank you.
I have nothing to add to that. Thank you for those comments. Mr. City Manager?
I guess my only comment is I appreciate everybody who's come out and shared their perspectives and lived experiences. It's from that we as a community will grow and we will strive to be better and do better. And so I do appreciate all of the comments. And we'll work through this. I firmly believe that. Thank you.
Okay, move on to our discussion item. 6.1, Community Development Block Grants, CDBG, substantial amendments. Staff, we have an agenda report.
Community and Economic Development Specialist here with the City of East Lansing. Tonight I'm here to speak with you all about two proposed substantial amendments to East Lansing's Community Development Block Grant Program budget. Part of the city's CDBG Citizen Participation Plan, just for council's knowledge, a substantial amendment is required anytime staff would like to create a new activity, change the scope or location of a existing funded activity, or move funds greater than 10% of our annual CDBG budget. For fiscal year 26, that's about $400,000 from one activity to another. Given this, the first amendment is going to be required due to a change in location. The currently approved fiscal year 2026 CDBG sidewalk project intersections include the 5 listed on the left on the slide. However, last month, DPW staff asked if these locations could be changed as the city has a Clean Water State Revolving Fund project that is now scheduled for that area in 2029, and that will require that those ADA ramps are redone anyways. So to avoid repeating, replacing those ramps twice in a short period, DPW is proposing that our fiscal year 2026 CDBG sidewalk project take place at the 5 intersections listed on the right along Bailey Street between Beach and Ann. Then the second amendment involves reallocating over that 10% threshold, which is around $40,000. It will be a total of $170,000, $70,000 from the city's homeowner rehabilitation program, and $100,000 from currently unprogrammed CDBG funds to make some comprehensive sidewalk and ADA curb cut improvements right here at the East Lansing Hannah Community Center. This amendment will leave enough funding for approximately one household to still receive assistance under the city's homeowner rehabilitation program, and it keeps our CDBG funds moving here in East Lansing so that the city can stay in compliance with the U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development's requirements for the timely expenditure of CDBG funding. On this next slide here, there is a map drawn up by the East Lansing Department of Parks, Recreation, and Arts staff in line with the East Lansing Department of Public Works, showing the proposed potential improvements based on an assessment of existing sidewalk conditions done by DPW, and then that total allocation of $170,000 was set based on estimates drafted by DPW as well. As with previous substantial amendments proposed to this council, there is a process outlined in our citizen participation plan whereby they can be approved. The recommendation from staff would be at the October 21st meeting that City Council, if they are interested in pursuing the substantial amendment, sets a public hearing, and then at the December 9th meeting, that public hearing takes place, after which City Council would be able to consider approving those substantial amendments.
Questions from council? Dr. Altman, anything?
So the First Amendment seems like a no-brainer, right? We're basically redoing a bunch of sidewalks twice, essentially.
Yes.
Right. The second one, I have thought frequently that we need this sort of update to the access to the Hannah Center, and so I think this would be a good improvement. So I'm certainly supportive.
Why I think I probably asked this before, but I don't remember the answer. Why do you call them substantial amendments instead of just amendments?
It's a HUD term.
Okay.
Because there's also such thing as a minor amendment, which is anything less than that 10% threshold, which does not require council approval.
Thank you for reminding me. Carrie, anything?
Thank you for asking that.
I agree with Dr. Altman. I just soon get this moving on the agenda and stuff, if that's okay with everybody else. So, okay. Anything more? All right. Do we have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? We adjourn. Thanks, folks, for coming.